Good morning, and thank you all for being here again. It wasn't that long ago, just 13 days in fact, that we gathered here in this room so I could introduce someone very special to all of you, Fernando Lobo, our new Vice President and Director of Athletics. When I introduced him, I told you that he was the right choice to lead Lobo Athletics and help forge an amazing future for our programs. Well, we certainly put him to work right away, don't you think? Barely a week into the job, he was tasked with the big job of finding us a fantastic new football coach. And barely a week after being handed that challenge, Fern has done exactly that. Is it any surprise? This is what Fern does. It's why I'm proud to have brought him to the University of New Mexico to oversee our athletic department. He's exactly the leader we need for moments like this. And now, after only 17 days on the job, Fern Lobo has brought us the leader we need for the University of New Mexico's football program. I'm pleased to be here with him this morning to introduce you to our new head football coach, Jason Eck. Now, I was going to say don't applaud yet because I'm going to let Fern tell you more about him first and what it took to bring him here. But I do want to say you're all in for a treat. Besides his proven record of success both on and off the field, Jason brings to coaching the very same defining traits that Fern brings to the job as AD: infectious joy and nearly boundless enthusiasm. This is an exciting new era for Lobo football. And while there are certainly challenges ahead, especially in this strange new world of athletics and college football, I feel comfortable in assuring you that there will be dancing in the locker room before you know it, led by our new coach himself. It's such a pleasure to welcome him and his family to our community. To tell you more about our new coach, it is my privilege to bring to the podium the hardest working Lobo in the business, the man who spent these last 2 weeks in constant motion, Vice President and Director of Athletics, Fern Lobo.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, 13 days, huh, President Stokes? I didn't realize that it was only 13 short days. But no, it has been quite the whirlwind, and just so honored to be here again in front of each and every one of you today. So thank you very much, President Stokes, for the great comments and remarks. And while I've only served as your Director of Athletics for a few weeks, 17 days, I think, to be exact, as you said, I am already just so grateful for your support and your partnership. It's clear that Lobo Athletics is important to you and your vision for the university, so thank you. I will forever be grateful for this opportunity to join the Lobo family. And I want to thank all of you for being here today and coming out on a weekday right before the holiday to be part of this exciting day for our university. I also want to thank our football student athletes. As you know, they've been through a lot the last few weeks, but they've continued to demonstrate great character and resiliency. Many of our players shared insight with me at the start of the search on what they would like in their new football coach, and I never lost sight of that during the process. Finally, I want to thank everyone both locally and around the country who provided input and guidance to me on candidates, as well as our senior administrators who are here today, Dave Williams, Amy Beggin, and Jalen Dominguez, who served as key advisors throughout the search. When we began the search process, I knew our football program and community needed stability. Where some might see challenges, I see opportunities. Interest in the position was strong, from current and former head coaches to elite coordinators and assistant coaches. I knew we needed a true program builder, someone who has demonstrated that with the right culture, a relentless commitment to recruiting and competitive excellence, a great staff, the ability to connect with student athletes and the community, that anything is possible. We found all of that and more in Coach Eck. Coach Eck's accomplishments speak for themselves. He is one of only 6 current college coaches who has led an FCS team to the playoffs in each of the last 3 years. He led Idaho to a 26-13 overall record during his tenure, including 2 trips to the FCS quarterfinals while playing a top 10 strength of schedule every year. His teams have finished nationally ranked every season and twice in the top 10. He has coached 32 players to all conference honors and another 16 to honorable mention honors. His 3 straight winning seasons was the first time that it happened at Idaho in 3 decades. This year, Idaho went 10-4, the first 10-win season for the program since 1988. The year before, he led them to 9 wins, and his first year started with 7, having taken over a program that only won 4 the year before he started. So from 4 to 7 to 9 to 10, that is building a program. Coach Eck has a comprehensive plan for his program anchored by 4 pillars: accountability, toughness, grit, and urgency. He will use those pillars to chase excellence on and off the playing field, and he will also ensure that New Mexico football continues to be an integral part of this university and community. Every person I spoke to throughout the process who knew Coach Eck rave about what kind of man he is. And when you get a chance to spend time with him, you will see what I see. A coach, yes, but also a role model and a family man. We are thrilled to welcome Coach Eck and his wife, Kimberly, and their children, Quentin, Jackson, Palmer, Maverick, and little Lola, to the Lobo family. It is my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce to you the new head football coach of the University of New Mexico, Coach Jason Eck. Can't see it. We'll get it in the front. Yeah. I got it.
Appreciate it. Well, Frank's getting in trouble already. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out today. I'm so honored to be your head football coach here at the University of New Mexico, and thank you so much to this great administrative team, President Stokes, Fernando, Jalen, Amy, David, just so many great people that I got to visit with through this process that give me so much confidence in the support that we're going to have here to be successful at the University of New Mexico. And I'm very thankful to the people at Idaho. They gave me my first opportunity to be a head coach, and gave me an opportunity to build on and learn how to turn a program around. And I learned a lot in those 3 years. I'm excited now to bring what I've learned there and take that to the next step. So very thankful to President Green, AD Terry Golick, and all the people there. One of the things that I learned there and was able to get connected with is they had a great string of coaches who were able to cut their teeth and have their first opportunity at Idaho and then go on to have a ton of success at the FBS level. And when I met with Dennis Erickson, Keith Gilbertson, John L. Smith, Chris Tormey, I learned a lot. I asked those guys questions. I wanted to know, what they had learned, where they had gone right, where they had, if they had to do things over again, would change, and really gave me a lot of confidence to take on a great opportunity like this. And I really do, just like Fernando said, I see this as an opportunity. I think there's an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done at New Mexico in a long time. And really, that's the same way I look at recruits. I don't look at an 18-year-old young man graduating from high school as where he is right now. I see where he can be, a vision of where he can be in a few years, and that's how I look at this New Mexico football program. Definitely want to thank my family for being here. My wife, Kimberly, has been with me and so supportive of me. I spent 23 years as an assistant, and in those 23 years, I worked for 11 different head coaches, and it led to some tough times. I mean, there were some tough times when she was calling before going to the grocery store and asking, "Hey, can I write a check or do I need to put this on the credit card?" And there was a lot of times I said, "Yeah, you better put this on the credit card to be safe." So But she believed in me, and I think there's a lot of power in belief. And she always believed in me, supported me, and just so thankful for her. And then our 5 children that we've brought along, Quentin, great to have him here, our first child. Jackson, who's not here, but could possibly be here in the future. Palmer, Maverick, and then my wife is a good recruiter as well, because we had 4 boys, and I thought 4 is a good number. I grew up, I had 3 siblings. I was the oldest of 4, and her sales pitch was, and this was when I was an assistant coach as an O-line coach, she said, we can, if we go for 1 more, you'll either have a whole offensive line of boys, or we'll finally get a cheerleader. And we got our little cheerleader, Lola, and she looks really good in her Lobo colors there. I grew up in a coaching family. My father was a college basketball coach for about 25 years. So I look forward, I love basketball. I look forward to visiting more with Coach Pitino. I'm excited to see this pit packed tomorrow night for my first game in there. And my parents were very influential, Jay and Mary Beth. I just went in a different direction. As I evolved, my body became more of a pulling guard than a shooting guard, so I made the transition over to football. Through all those coaches I worked with, I really took something from every head coach I worked with, but 2 really stand out as mentors who I learned a lot from, and they both were program builders. The first one was Coach Barry Alvarez, who got hired at Wisconsin after they had a very rough stretch of years. And I think he said in his opening press conference that he thought Wisconsin was a sleeping giant. And he really was able to build that program up over time, inspired belief in us and players, even though maybe we were playing Ohio State and Michigan and they were a little bit more talented. He did a great job of instilling that confidence in us and student athletes and his assistant coaches of what we could accomplish. And then the last head coach I got to work for, John Stiglmeyer, I worked with him for 6 years at South Dakota State, and he was there for 26 years as the head coach. I grew up in a small farm in South Dakota, and he built that program from when they were in Division II, and we're not very good in Division II, to transitioning to Division I, where in his last year, his 26th year, they won the FCS national title. And I learned a lot about him, about belief in players, about belief in your assistant coaches. He was the one that really showed the first belief in me, where he told me, I think you need to be a head coach. You're going to be a great head coach. And I think that belief that he showed in me inspired me to make that jump. And that's the same belief that we're going to build in our players here in New Mexico, of the great things that we're going to accomplish both on the field, but also off the field, in this great community, in the classroom. And I'm very thankful to those 2 guys especially, as well as all the guys who've inspired me over time. A lot of people have asked me why New Mexico, and I think people ask me that because these last 2 nights have been the first 2 nights of my life I've stayed in New Mexico, or Albuquerque, I should say. I had been in New Mexico before, but first time in Albuquerque. I think there's so many things to get excited about around here, and again, the support of the administration was something that every time I talked to them through this process got me more excited. I'm very excited with Fernando's great background of being around some of the best minds in football coaching that he was with when he was with Urban Meyer. He's able to share some things that he learned from those guys that I think are really going to have an impactful effect on our program and help us to continue to grow and build this program. I think the recruiting base here, especially when you look at the surrounding states, is very powerful. There's a lot of great football players in the southwest part of the country that I think we're going to be able to tap into. I think this town is an amazing community to tap into that's going to attract a lot of recruits. The tremendous facilities we have. When I walked through, I was kind of amazed by everything I saw. We have everything we need facility-wise to be successful. And seeing the great support for basketball, seeing that they're selling out the pit, that kind of inspires me that I think this community wants to support a winner. They want something that they can get excited about, they can embrace and rally around. They just need a consistent winner to get them excited and get them in the football stadium. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to build that excitement. We're going to connect with this community, be a part of it, and make this a really special place. The airport, I think, is a tremendous asset here with 31 direct flights. We've had that's something that other schools have a lot of issues with, where you have an hour drive to get to the airport. It's pretty convenient to have that right here in front of us that we can connect with. And then the people are really what makes places special. And again, just the people I've got to meet over the last 48 hours being here, and the support. Everyone seems to have a willingness to help and wants to make New Mexico great. I do think there's something special about being the head football coach at the University of New Mexico. because we don't just represent a team. We represent a great university, an R1 research university, which I think is a great asset in recruiting when you're talking to parents about academics. The whole city of Albuquerque and this whole state of New Mexico. That's one of my goals. I want to make everybody proud here of New Mexico football and proud of their heritage in this community. And we're going to be involved in the community. You're going to see us at basketball games, at baseball games. You're going to see my family. My wife she's probably one of my best assets as far as recruiting and selling, really selling the gospel of Lobo football and putting our money where our mouth is. It's going to be a great family program. So again, my second time thanking you today for everything you do. How are we going to do it? Fernando kind of hit on some of the core values that we have belief in. Really, the foundation of our program is championship behavior. And I believe you have to act like a champion before you're ever going to become a champion and get a ring on your finger. And it's how you do things in every aspect of your life. There's carryover. Okay, you can't be an underachiever in the classroom, not turning assignments on time, skipping class, or getting in trouble in the dorms or getting in trouble in the community. And all of a sudden, when you get to the football facility, flip a switch and do every little detail right. Okay, there's a lot of consistency of self, and we're going to make sure we're mentoring these young men and teaching them that and trying to push them to be the best in every aspect of their life. And we'll see the carryover again. I don't think it was a coincidence that my last institution, as we went from 4 wins to 10 wins, our team GPA went from 2.7 to 3.3. That wasn't a coincidence. That was a direct correlation just with guys' accountability growing and taking care of their business. We're going to have to love these guys and really embrace this team. They've been through a lot. To have 3 head coaches in 3 years is quite the transition. And we're going to do a great job investing in these guys, supporting them. We're going to put a great staff together here, a mix of guys that I worked with in the past, and we're on that staff, and also some guys we're going to give us some key recruiting ties that are important down in this area. And as we invest in these kids, we're going to support them. The toughness and the mental toughness you have to have, they're going to need that because they need to be resilient with what they've experienced with some of the coaching changes, and we're going to help them through that process and help them to continue to grow. Relationships are very important, and that's something that we're really going to invest on for these first 60 days on the job. It starts with relationships with the student athletes. It was great seeing so many of those guys come up to my office yesterday and have a chance to visit with them. It's a relationship with incoming players and the recruits we're going to have. I look forward to meeting all the other, both coaches at the university who are in other sports, other people throughout the university. Again, you are always welcome to pop into the football office and say hello. I want to be invested in this community and meet this community. And then the greater Albuquerque area. I'm so excited to meet, whether it's alumni, whether it's just fans, whether it's boosters. Again, I want you guys to feel you're a part of the program. I think that's the beauty of college sports. And being in a state like New Mexico where we don't have any, NFL teams or Major League Baseball teams, this is the big show. And the beauty of college sports, it's not like compared to the pro, it's not like there's one owner. Okay, there's not just an owner of the team. You guys are all owners of this team. You guys are all invested in our success and will be a big part of it so that when we do turn this place around and we're going into bowl games like we plan on going next year, you guys are a part of that. You should be proud of the success we've had. Development is something that's going to be very important. I really think when you were at the lower levels of football, whether it's FCS, even Group of 5 compared to the FBS, you're not going to be able to recruit guys who are FBS players right away. But if you do a great job with your, I shouldn't say FBS, Power 4 players, and I think to win the Mountain West Conference, we're going to need to probably have 25 guys who could play anywhere in the country. I saw that even this year looking at the number 3 seed in the college football playoff coming from the Mountain West Conference. So we're going to have to develop those guys. We're going to have those vision of guys and where they're at right now, and then have a great plan for elevating those young men. And that development starts with physical development, doing a great job with our strength conditioning staff. It starts with a great nutrition program for those guys so they can add quality weight and quality muscle during their time here. It's mentally developing them, whether it's in the schemes of football, in the techniques, developing that mental strength and mental toughness to be resilient and overcome when challenges are present. And then really just building those connections of the team. I think, program building is very important, like Fernando talked about. But in this era, with the transfer portal, you're going to have a lot of turnover on your roster. So you got to do a really good job every year of investing in those relationships and bringing that team together and making sure you create a tight-knit team, even though you may have 40 or 50 new players on any given year. But we're going to develop players. We're going to build great trust with these young men by always being honest with them. And we're going to build belief in this program. because I really believe in the power of belief. When you show belief in people, they very frequently, rise to the level of that and match your level of expectation and belief. So very excited for this journey. Again, so just honored and humbled to be a part of this great place. And thank you. Lobo up. Open it up to any questions from the crowd.
Crowd for me. Hi, Jason. Oh, my God. Hi, Jason. Sean Ryder, Albuquerque Journal. Obviously, I mean, you come from an offensive background, particularly on the lines and all that, too. What is the kind of offense you would like to bring to New Mexico?
I think one thing, when you look at offense, and I was an offensive guy for a long time, I really think the key to offense is fitting things around the players you have. You need to get the best possible players you have and develop them, and then you can't fit round pegs through square holes. And I think our offense is going to be flexible enough that when we have a great player at some position, we're going to find a way to get him the ball a lot. My first year at South Dakota State, we had a young man, Dallas Goddard, who just thought was a tremendous player when I first got there. And I said, we have to get him the ball more. And he went from 25 catches the year before to 95 catches, ended up being a second-round draft pick. Later at the time there, we had some really talented backs. So we had 2,000-yard rushers who ended up getting drafted into the NFL. Isaiah Davis is with the Jets, and then Pierre Strong. At Idaho recently, receivers have really kind of been our most talented position. So we were throwing it a lot. In 22, we had 2,000-yard wide receivers. Both of those guys had opportunities in the NFL. One of them, Jermaine Jackson, is still with the New Orleans Saints, and the other one got cut by the Seahawks, Hayden Hatton. He's now with the BC Lions in the CFL. So it's evaluating your players and let that be in the basis first. Then from there, figure out what formations we can line up with those guys and what plays we can run. We're not just going to run the same plays no matter who we have. We are a huddle team. I do believe in complementary football, so we're not just trying to run a million plays and get as many yards as we can, because I don't think that's what's best overall from the team. I want to make sure that our offensive schemes, our defensive schemes, and our special team schemes fit together and complement each other to play winning football.
Coach Will Weber from the Santa Fe New Mexican. They had to play the fight song twice before you got in here. I thought you changed your mind.
No. I'll talk to Lola about that. Lola, we had to get her ready. She wanted to make sure, I think she'd forgotten her little Lobo mascot, and we had to make sure we had that for the award ceremony. But Lola, the show held on for you.
After the Oregon game, you were quoted in The Athletic about the impact of the NIL and transfer portal, and you're walking into a situation that's not unique. There's a lot of turnover here. And the question is asked of a lot of coaches these days, do you consider bringing in like a general manager type person who can negotiate those things so you don't have to?
Yeah, that is definitely something we're looking at. And, I think that's one of the, the bigger changes, though. Even in my last school, we were starting to get involved and had formed a collective to get involved with that world. But it's an evolving landscape, and I really believe you have to adapt. I think someone said adapt or die, and I think that's something you have to do. You can't loan for the old days before NIL and before the portal. You need to adapt and adopt what's there, and I think we've been able to do that. In the 23 season, we had 8 players off of our roster transfer from Idaho to FBS schools. So you need to have a plan for that. You can't say, well, the next year is a down year, and we were able to grow and have more wins the next year. So it's something we got to work on. I'm excited here about the 505 collective. Kurt has done such a great job with that. I think that's going to be a growing area, and the support in this community being such a big city, over 500,000 people. I think we have a lot of room for growth there, but we need to show them a good product. We got to show them some wins to get there.
Coach Roger Holian, Mountain West Wire. Been affiliated with the program since '99. What most excites you about this program, number one, and also how was the response? Did you meet with the players that have not transferred? How was the response there?
I think it's the opportunity that's here. And I do think, I learned something when I was an assistant coach that I think really changed my career. And I had a player, Jacob Onosorgi. He won the Remington Award for the top center at FCS level at the time. They have a FBS one as well. And I really came to the realization Jacob did everything right. He was a great student. He was a mechanical engineering major, played with great effort, didn't make many mistakes. And it really struck me, and I was proud of him, but then I realized, you know what? Probably 95% of coaches could have led him to be an All-American because he did everything right. And I had another guy in the room who didn't pick up things as fast, had some talent, but would make a lot of mental mistakes. Maybe wouldn't do things in his lifestyle that held him back. And it really hit me that that's going to be where I make my impact on a coach. And I'm proud of Jacob, and it was great to have those guys to do everything right, but this is where I need to make the impact. And when that young man became first-team All-Conference, I had a much greater sense of pride. And I see that opportunity here. I think it was a lot more special what we accomplished at Idaho, winning the first 10-game season in 30 years. And I do think just with some things that are going on here, the investments they've made, the commitment from our administration, I think there's opportunity here at New Mexico to do something that has not been done in a long time. And I think that's a lot more special than taking over a program where the last 8 coaches had winning records, and you're really just trying to not screw it up. And then about the players, we had a Zoom meeting with players because with exams finishing last Friday, some of them had already traveled for their Christmas break. But I had some good questions and good time with the players on Saturday afternoon. And then I was impressed because I thought maybe all the players would be gone. I probably had 25 or 30 players come up to my office yesterday. And probably about 5 or 6 were guys who were currently in the portal and wanted to get to know me, wanted to find out, and I think had interest. That they weren't sold on their out for sure. They wanted to find out how things are going, meet with me, and hopefully we'll be able to retain a lot of those guys and keep them on the team for what's ahead.
Coach Van Tate, KRQE, Channel 13, the CBS affiliate here. You just mentioned something I was going to ask you about retaining guys. How hard of an effort do you think that will be? And do you feel like you're going to have to get in that portal and get ferocious?
Yeah, I think you can't ignore the portal. I mean, I believe in high school young men, and I want to find young men. I think there's going to be some rule changes that give you more flexibility with scholarships that I think is going to give us an opportunity to recruit more New Mexico guys. And maybe they're not as polished as some guys from the Phoenix metro area, the Dallas metro area, but they have a pride and passion for being from New Mexico. And now where you have some flexibility where you could split up those scholarships, those guys could add to the culture. So we want to be heavy in high school. We're going to do a great job there. I think that's where you can find a lot of value because so many schools are going to the portal. But you need to supplement the roster. You have to find some guys that are able to come in and help you right away. It's tough if a young man transfers who's a veteran 3-year starter going into senior year to say that you're always going to replace him. Though we've had pretty good success. We lost 2 great senior receivers after the 23 season, and we had a freshman, a redshirt freshman, and a redshirt sophomore who combined for 2,000 yards this year. So I do think the best thing is when you can have the next guy up as a young guy in your team that you're developing, but you're not always going to have that. Sometimes you're going to have to go find that guy to add it. So we're going to be an active player in the portal as well, especially in this first year.
And where did you get your dance moves?
Someone told me, this is probably the best compliment I've ever gotten, but someone told me when I was younger that for a big white guy, you can really dance. So it's against the general population, I'm not a good dancer, but for 300-pound white guys, I'm on a high percentile.
Back here to Devin.
Coach Devin Martin from KOB, the NBC affiliate, Channel 4. So you mentioned 3 head coaches in the last 3 years here for the Lobos. What do you say to the fans that are tired of the coaching turnover? What makes you different?
Well, I think the last 2 years last 9 years I've had 2 jobs. So I think that track record over the last 2 years has been there. And again, I was not really trying to get out of Idaho. I loved it there, but I just think this is such a this is an opportunity you can't pass up to come here. So we want to build that. And, my young family, my son Palmer, we got to find a good school. He wants to be a college football player like his older brother. I'd love to get him, coming in here through high school. He's an 8th grader right now. So I think family things are very important for me that way. And, really want to build something. Want to build something special here that we can be proud of. And, I think that would, a Mountain West championship would really be the crowning achievement.
And my second question, you obviously have a lot of experience. How have you seen in your years as an assistant and a head coach, seen the portal change the football landscape, and how is that going to affect how you're going to, move this offseason?
Yeah, you have to be a lot more nimble now. It used to be that if you knew you had, 5 senior starters and you had 17 guys back, you could assume that. You knew that ending the year, hey, I got 17 starters back. Now I think it's around May 1st where the second portal window closes. At about midnight, I kind of pour myself a cocktail to celebrate because that's when I know I got my team for the next year. And up till that point, you have to be flexible. I mean, you have to find answers, and it may be one of those situations that you think that you're going to be more of a 3-receiver team going into the year. Well, if one of those receivers leaves and then your next best player is a tight end, maybe you need to be more of a 2 tight end team the next year. So you have to be very nimble, I think, to adapt in this environment. It's a challenge with some of the guys getting recruited off the rosters, including in going into the portal where they really are having a good experience they don't want to. But again, that's the nature of the beast. You have to adapt and adjust to it.
All right. I think with that, we're good. We will have one-on-ones with Coach Eck. Fernando Lobo is also available. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Please, there's donuts and bagels and coffee. It's out there. Please help yourselves. And thank you for coming here early in the morning. Let's not do this again next week, and go Lobos.
Thank you, everyone.